second major exclusive broken tonight in the Age, so in tomorrow's Age. Sam, the story is about umpires and receiving instructions during the game. Over to you.
That's right. I think, and good evening, everyone, when people hear the word umpires, their eyes can glaze over. Not this one. This is a really important one for all our listeners and our viewers sitting at home watching, because a lot of our viewers, Ed, would know that since the year 2000, umpires have worn earpieces. A lot of our viewers would also know that they wear earpieces so that they can communicate with each other. That's now the 4 field umpires, the 2 goal umpires, and we know with the arc, when there's a score review, they need people in their ears from the arc. What a lot of you might not know, what a lot of senior coaches that I've spoken to this week did not know, is that on top of that, at every game, there is one person, an umpire's coach, sitting in a box that has direct communications to the umpires. Now, of the 9, that's half of the senior coaches that I've spoken to in the last week and a half. 2 of them had no idea that this was happening and thought it was a risk to integrity. Another 2 knew it was happening, but they were concerned that there was a lack of clarity surrounding why it was happening and would like to hear from the AFL why it was happening. Because there has been a suspicion from several AFL coaches that I have spoken to that they are now starting to be coached and pushed in certain directions live in play about individual decisions. Now, that is something that the AFL in the last 24, 48 hours, to me personally, have vehemently denied. Steve McBurney, who is the new umpires coach, the boss of umpiring, the boss of officiating, has gone on the record and provided me with some of the following quotes. He says that they cannot tell umpires what free kicks to pay. They cannot give them advice of what free kicks to pay. Our game does not permit that. He goes on to say if they're giving positive affirmation, that would normally occur during the breaks. That's quarter time, half time, 3/4 time. He goes on to say, though, that if there is a need during play, after a goal or during a stoppage, to give affirmation, we leave that up to the umpire's coach to determine if and when that is necessary. The umpire's job is to coach umpires the same way that AFL coach's job is to coach the players. Now, we talked about coaches there. I was able to speak to a number of AFL senior coaches this week. One of them was prepared to go on the record if his identity was protected. He said this: "I'm really surprised by it. I'm struggling to get my head around it. It's a material risk to the game. The sanctity of the umpires has now been questioned. It throws the purity of the game into real jeopardy. In my wildest dreams, I wouldn't have thought anyone could have the ability to speak to umpires during the course of play."
So, Sam, just clarifying, I've been aware that umpires get communication at quarter time and half time breaks. Could the situation be, hey, watch out for Collingwood time wasting around the stoppage while in the 4th quarter?
So the umpires, according to Steve McBurney in the AFL, say that it's not even that. They will say that it is simply around positioning, it's around positive affirmation. If there's been a controversial free kick, they might wait to a stop and play and say, hey, Jimmy, well done with that holding the ball, great positioning.
The only thing with positive affirmation is if you don't get it, then you think, well, maybe I did something wrong. I mean, get your thoughts, Lloydie, and then we'll discuss.
The umpires, quickly, Lloydie, the umpires that I've spoken to in the last week about this story say that although that they've had the ability since the early 2000s to be having spoken to, the rate at which they have been communicated to in the last 18 months, since the start of the 2023 season, has risen exponentially.
That's interesting. So Steve McBurney is saying there, we don't obviously change a decision or try and help with the decision in game. I'm not sure why you need the affirmation within games either. I just think that they've got that much going on. Do you really need to be told, wonderful positioning, you did a great job here? You can tell them that at quarter time, half time, 3/4 time.
It doesn't quite... I mean, look, I'm not fussed one way or the other, but we don't let them have a look at stats to do the Brownlow because you've got to let
Well, they say they don't. Well, I think they do.
Well, that's no good if that's the case. My point is, just make it easy on everybody. You know, let's not have this subterfuge. How many coaches said they didn't know about it and were angry about it?
So 3 didn't know that this was actually happening. And Steve McBurney actually said on the record that 3 have actually sought clarification around communication.
So 3 coaches have rung the AFL saying, we want to know what's going on.
Yeah. The interesting thing is on the broadcast, so if you're watching the TV, you only hear the umpires talking to each other, and then you only hear the arc when there's a score review. You never actually hear the recordings, and the AFL says it is recorded, about the umpires. And I'm just wondering, Lloydie, just quickly before we get to Damo, you've been covering games since you've retired for a long time. Have you ever noticed or thought about this?
Yeah, well, when you broke the story and you were coming with it before the show, I asked Sam, I said, when did this start? And Sam said this potentially been going on for 10 years. I thought, OK, I've felt like I've seen an umpire react after the event and thought, what, they actually being spoken to in their ear to be told, you need to pay this decision. So that has me questioning what Steve McBurney says. It doesn't happen in game, but I felt like I've seen it before in recent years.
The AFL does record this, though. They record all of this, do they?
They record all of it. They say that it's an open channel of communication.
All right, so
but that no one has actually sought the audio before.
Quick one, round the panel again. Would you like to see this continue now that we all know, or would you like it to be nixed?
To stop. Yep.
Yeah, just stop now that I know how sort of deep it does run. Yeah.
Stop. Comfortable with quarter time, half time, three-quarter time, a little bit of coaching, but not in quarters.
And Sam, you've been following this. You've done the deep dive on this. What do you think?
Look, I'm willing to take the AFL on face value that this is a key tool of coaching and education for umpires. I want the umpires to have the best opportunity to officiate. Yeah. I'm not comfortable that a lot of us didn't know about it. And if senior coaches didn't know it was happening, I would say a fair few of our people watching at home didn't.
It'd be like saying to a player, can we put an earpiece in you and we want to talk to you in your ear and tell you about where we want you to stand, where we want you to be. Do you know it would only make you go worse?
Yeah,
so I wonder if they've asked the umpires themselves whether they actually like this or they prefer to have nothing in their ear just so they can have their head in the game.
I have no trouble with the integrity of the competition and all of that, except when it does go wrong.
Yep, that's right.
So I'm very big on don't put the saucer of milk in front of the cat and then kick the cat because it licked the saucer of milk. Don't have it. I would rather the umpires be spoken to. If you want to have a coach go to quarter time, okay, half time. I think that's over the odds as well. They're pretty, they're mature.
Who are the mystery people doing the talking?
Yep, so there's 8 of them in the country.
Who?
5 of them are former umpires with 1,000 games of experience. They're the ones. So Michael Jennings, the main umpires coach. There's a few others that have umpired
Scott
at high
McLaren's
levels.
one of them, isn't he?
Scott McClure, who umpired 350 games. Yeah. So there is a lot of experience among quite a few of them. Some of them don't quite have the experience. But Eddie, looking forward to our live guest tonight because Brad Scott's in a pretty unique position as a coach, but also a man that up until recently was running the football department.